Hello everyone and happy Sabbath to you all. Today I'm going to share with you how to manage life when we need to make difficult decisions and how to apply biblical principles to them. Our Christian journey is an adventure full of different challenges. It's a crooked and windy path we must take. Jesus said, "But small is the gate, and narrow the road that leads to life, and few find it." That was from Matthew chapter 7, verse 14. Now, how can you navigate through life when there's no clear path? God doesn't exactly show us exactly how to live our lives, because He wants us to develop our character. He wants us to walk the walk. Parents can probably relate to this because no parent can teach a child how to walk. The child can only learn by getting up and falling down until the child is able to walk on his or her own. When I was living in California, I would often go off to the mountains for the weekend to do outback camping and rock climbing. One time I was trying to show my friend an amazing location to camp. It was right down at the bottom of a gorge by a river of rushing, icy glacier water, surrounded by high cliffs and a rushing waterfall. It was an amazing place. But as we descended down the gorge, I had trouble remembering how I got to the river. Now, part of the adventure is the exploration, the thrill of stepping into the unknown, while at the same time being the author of your own story. As we were finding our way down the rough and rocky terrain of the gorge, I told my friend that defining the path is part of the journey. Now let's pause here for a second. Defining the path is part of the journey. Just as I said these words, I realized that they had spiritual significance. Because in our spiritual lives, we don't always know which path to take. God doesn't make the difficult decisions in life for us. But He does expect us to make a decision. And maybe this is the most important thing, to make decisions for the right reasons. In Jesus' parable of the talents in Matthew 25, the master entrusted his wealth to 3 servants. To one he gave 5 bags of gold, to another 2 bags, and to another 1 bag, each according to his ability. Then he went off on his journey. The man who had received 5 bags of gold went at once and put his money to work and gained 5 bags more. So also the one with 2 bags of gold gained 2 more. But the man who had received 1 bag of gold went off, dug a hole in the ground, and hid his master's money. This was from Matthew 25, verse 15 to 18. Notice the master never gave any instructions to his servants. He just entrusted them with his wealth. But he expected them to invest it. And 2 did, but 1 didn't. Just like in this parable, God expects us to use the talents He has entrusted us with, even if it's not exactly clear how to do it. He doesn't want us to be idle. Continuing on in the parable, when the master returned, the man who had received 5 bags of gold brought the other 5. "Master," he said, "you entrusted me with 5 bags of gold. See, I've gained 5 more." His master replied, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share in your master's happiness." The man with 2 bags of gold also came. "Master," he said, "you entrusted me with 2 bags of gold. See, I've gained 2 more." His master replied, "Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share in your master's happiness." Then the man who had received 1 bag of gold came. "Master," he said, "I knew that you are a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown, and gathering where you have not scattered seed. So I was afraid, and went out and hid your gold in the ground. See, here it is, what belongs to you." His master replied, "You wicked, lazy servant. So you knew that I harvest where I have not sown, and gather where I have not scattered seed? Well then, you should have put my money on deposit with the bankers, so that when I returned I would have received it back with interest. So take the bag of gold from him and give it to the one who has 10 bags. For whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have even what they have will be taken from them. And throw that worthless servant outside into the darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth." The principle of this parable is that it's more important to take initiative and use God's gifts than to remain idle in fear of doing something wrong. It's most important that whatever we decide to do, we do it for the right purposes. The Apostle Paul says, "Whatever you do in deed or purpose, do it giving thanks to God." This was from Colossians 3:17. But sometimes the choices in life aren't between right and wrong. Sometimes the choices in life can be between right and right. A few years ago, when I was living in California, I received a job offer back in Sweden where I grew up. Now, I had a happy and fulfilling life in California, but I was faced with a decision whether to stay or to move. There were pros and cons with both decisions. They were qualitatively different, but neither one was clearly better than the other. But I justified my decision to move back because I needed to start a nonprofit in the UK, the ICFWP, but most importantly, because my parents were getting older. So I decided to move. However, initially after moving back, I became dissatisfied with my decision. But as time went on, I began to see the benefits. When my mom, earlier last year, got serious health problems and passed away, I realized that I had made the right decision to stay, because I was able to be there for her during the last years of her life, and I was able to be there for my family as we went through this loss. Now, maybe it would have worked out anyway somehow if I had stayed. I don't know, and I never will. Either way, it doesn't really matter, because when we are faced with decisions and there's no clear path, as long as they're done according to God's will, there's no right or wrong. We will find the reasons for whatever decision we made. We are the narrators of our lives. A friend once said that sometimes God isn't so interested in the specific decisions we make. He's more interested in the reasons we make certain decisions. This is why defining the path is part of the journey. The wisest man who had ever lived was well familiar with difficult decisions. In the book of Ecclesiastes, Solomon, the wisest man who had ever lived, was well familiar with difficult decisions. In the book of Ecclesiastes, he takes us on a cynical, existential journey, exploring all the meaninglessness of life. Because no matter how hard we work, how much good we do, there will still be injustice in this world. Time and chance can rob us of everything if we're unfortunate. And ultimately, we will all die one day anyway. But this gray and cynical book actually reminds us of the hope we have. Because no matter what happens to us in life or death, our ultimate purpose comes from God. When we obey God, we find true meaning in life. As Solomon says in conclusion of this existential discourse, "Now all has been heard. Here is the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the duty of all mankind. For God will bring every deed into judgment, including every hidden thing, whether it is good or evil." This was from Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 13 to 14. As long as we do this, we can be at peace with our decisions, and we can enjoy our journey as we define our path. It was wonderful that you all tuned in to this ICFWP live event. We really encourage you all to get together and meet in real life, assemble as brethren. We know this isn't possible for all of you, but if you are able, we highly encourage it. These events are a resource and a supplement for your spiritual life and your spiritual growth. They are not a replacement for regular church services or for assembling with brethren. So we offer these events as a resource, and we also offer a Bible study resource. I will be providing it in the description of this video below. It's a resource for you to get together with brethren, study the Word of God, whether you do it in real life or on Zoom, or whatever media you use. We highly encourage you to use this resource to get together and have a self-moderated Bible discussion. We have weekly Sabbath events, and we have a schedule of Holy Day events lined up with a variety of different speakers from within the Church of God. So that's everything for this week. I just want to remind everyone, if you haven't already, you can sign up to our ICFWP newsletter to stay up to date with the latest news and activities. And also, if you haven't done it, you can subscribe to this YouTube channel to make sure that you always have our latest videos. So that's all for this week. I hope to see you all next week on Zoom with Jonathan Reedy. Have a happy Sabbath. Be inspired, learn, grow, and connect. Shalom.